Have you ever wondered why Dutch doctors don't prescribe as much medicine as others? Imagine a healthcare system where the philosophy is less about popping pills and more about promoting overall wellness. A system where insurance coverage is mandatory yet flexible to accommodate individual needs. This isn't a healthcare utopia, it's the Dutch way of doing things. If you've ever scratched your head at the thought of a less is more approach to medication, then you're in the right place. Intrigued? Then stay tuned as we unravel the mysteries of the Dutch healthcare system. Why do Dutch doctors prescribe fewer medicines? Is it a lack of resources or a different approach to healthcare? Let's delve into this question. The Dutch approach to healthcare is unlike many other systems around the world. The answer is not a lack of resources, but rather a different philosophy that underpins their medical practices. In the Netherlands, doctors prioritize a holistic approach to health. Instead of rushing to prescribe medications, they often first consider other factors, like a patient's lifestyle, mental health, and overall well-being. Picture this. A patient walks into a Dutch clinic complaining of chronic headaches. Instead of immediately prescribing painkillers, a Dutch doctor might first ask about the patient's diet, exercise routine, stress levels, and sleep patterns. They believe that a healthy lifestyle can often be the best medicine, and that such non-pharmaceutical interventions can be just as effective, if not more so, than medication. It's also important to note that Dutch doctors have a strong belief in the body's ability to heal itself. They tend to see medication as a last resort to be used when the body can't manage on its own or to speed up the healing process. This doesn't mean that they withhold necessary medication, far from it. They simply avoid overprescribing and lean towards minimal intervention. Furthermore, this approach is rooted in a desire to prevent the overuse of medication and the potential side effects that can come with it. It's about striking a balance between treating illnesses and promoting overall health and well-being. This approach may seem unusual to some, especially those from countries where medication is often the first line of defense, but it's important to remember that healthcare practices vary around the world, reflecting different cultural beliefs, medical philosophies, and healthcare systems, so it's not a lack of resources, but a different philosophy that drives this approach. Now let's move on to the insurance system. Healthcare is never free, but how does it work in the Netherlands? What is included in the basic coverage? In the Netherlands, health insurance isn't just an option, it's a legal requirement. Everyone who lives or works in the country must have at least basic health insurance known as basisverzekering. This mandatory insurance covers a wide range of services, providing a safety net for all residents. So what exactly does the basic coverage include? It covers general practitioners' services, meaning you can visit your local doctor without facing a hefty bill. It also includes hospital care and surgeries. So if you need an operation or specialist treatment, your basic insurance has you covered. Prescribed medicines are also part of the deal. Yes, the Dutch approach to medicine is conservative and doctors don't prescribe as many drugs as some other countries, but when you do need medicine, your basic coverage will usually foot the bill. But it doesn't stop there. Basic insurance also covers mental health services, maternity care, and rehabilitation services. If you're pregnant, need physiotherapy, or require support for mental health issues, you won't be left out in the cold. And here's a big one: emergency medical care. If you have an accident or fall seriously ill, your basic insurance ensures you get the urgent care you need. It even covers ambulance services. Now, it's important to remember that while this coverage is comprehensive, it's not all-encompassing. Some services, like dental care for adults and physiotherapy sessions beyond a certain number, are not included in the basic package. And you'll also have to pay an annual deductible, known as eigen risico, before your insurance kicks in. In essence, the Dutch insurance system is designed to ensure that everyone has access to necessary healthcare services. It might not cover every possible scenario, but it provides a solid foundation of coverage for all residents. That covers the basics of insurance, but what if you need more than the basics? What if you need more than just basic coverage? What options do you have in the Netherlands? Or do you have to sell a kidney? Just kidding. Now let's delve into the realm of additional coverage in the Dutch healthcare system. As much as the basic coverage envelops a wide array of healthcare services, there are instances where you might need more. This is where supplemental insurance options enter the picture. These are optional bundles that you can append to your baseline insurance policy to fund services not enveloped in elementary package. Envision if you're a lively individual and you often require physiotherapy sessions. Alternatively, you may have a blossoming family and wish to ensure your children's dental care is accounted for. Perhaps you foresee the need for alternate therapies, or you are envisaging a pregnancy and desire to have a wider array of options for maternity care. These are all circumstances where additional coverage can prove fruitful. There are multitudes of types of extra coverage on offer, each tailored to address particular needs. For example, auxiliary dental insurance can cover a section or the full expenses of dental care hinging on the policy. Similarly, extra coverage for physiotherapy can cover a higher number of sessions than the baseline package. There are also policies that encompass alternate therapies like acupuncture or homeopathy. And for those envisioning a family, maternity packages can provide coverage for services like childbirth classes or lactation consultations. It's to bear in mind that these supplemental policies come with an added expense, so you should assess your individual health requirements and circumstances before determining whether to include them. Not every individual will require or reap benefits from extra coverage, but for some, it can offer tranquility of mind and financial safeguard. Also, bear in mind that the Dutch insurance companies typically permit amendments to your policy annually, usually in December. Therefore, you have the chance to assess your health requirements yearly and modify your coverage accordingly. Thus, there are alternatives for those who crave more than just the fundamentals. But what about the notion of own risk? What does own risk mean in the context of Dutch healthcare? Is it as risky as it sounds? Well, not exactly. In the Dutch healthcare system, own risk, also known as the deductible, is a fixed amount that you must pay out of pocket each year before your health insurance starts to cover the costs. It's a way to share the cost of healthcare between you and your insurance company. But let's dive a little deeper. The own risk applies to most healthcare services covered under the basic insurance package. This includes things like hospital stays, specialist treatments, and medication. However, some things are exempt from the own risk, such as GP visits, obstetric care, and children's health care. So how does it work exactly? Let's say your own risk is set at €385, which is the mandatory minimum in the Netherlands as of this year. If you have medical costs amounting to €500, you would pay the first €385, and your insurance will cover the remaining €115. It's important to note that the own risk is per calendar year. So if you've paid your full own risk amount in 1 year, any further healthcare costs in that same year will be fully covered by your insurance. Now you might be wondering about the impact on your out-of-pocket expenses. While the own risk does mean you'll have to pay a certain amount up front, it also helps to keep the monthly insurance premiums lower for everyone. Plus, it encourages mindful use of healthcare services. One last thing to remember is that you can choose to increase your own risk to up to €885 in exchange for a lower premium. This might be a good option if you're generally healthy and don't expect to have high healthcare costs. So, own risk is really about sharing costs. Now, what happens if you get sick? You're feeling sick. What's your first step in the Dutch healthcare system? Well, you know that old saying, an apple a day keeps the doctor away? In the Netherlands, it's more like a call to the doctor keeps the worries away. You see, your first point of contact should be your general practitioner or GP. Think of them as your health's best friend, always there to guide you through your health concerns. So, let's say you've woken up not feeling your best. Maybe you've got a fever or a cough, or you're just feeling run down. First things first, don't panic, you're not alone. Your GP is just a phone call away. Now, the first thing to note is that Dutch GPs are known for their practical and conservative approach. They don't jump to conclusions or rush to prescribe medication. Instead, they'll take the time to understand your symptoms, your medical history, and your concerns. They might even suggest some rest and self-care before considering further steps. If your symptoms persist or get worse, your GP will determine the next course of action. This could be prescribing medication, or it could involve referring you to a specialist for further tests or treatment. Remember, your GP is your first line of defense in the Dutch healthcare system. They're your health guide, navigator, and advocate all rolled into one. They're there to make sure you get the right care at the right time in the right place. But here's the kicker. Your GP isn't just there for when you're sick. They're also there for preventative care. That means regular checkups, health advice, and screenings. They're there to help you stay healthy, not just get you better. So when you're feeling under the weather in the Netherlands, don't hesitate to pick up the phone and call your GP. They're there to guide you, care for you, and help you navigate the Dutch healthcare system. So your GP is your first point of call, but what if they're not available? What if you fall ill outside of your GP's working hours? What are your options? Well, the Dutch healthcare system is designed to ensure you're never left without care, even when it's after hours. If you happen to get sick outside of your general practitioner's office hours, there are a couple of options available to you. Firstly, there are after-hours clinics known as huisarts en post in Dutch. These clinics are typically open in the evenings, during the night, and on weekends when most GP offices are closed. They are specifically designed to provide care for health issues that cannot wait until your GP's office reopens. Remember, these clinics are not for routine checkups or non-urgent matters. They are there to provide immediate care for pressing health issues. Alternatively, if you're dealing with a serious or life-threatening situation, you should call the emergency services number. In the Netherlands, that's 112. When you dial this number, an operator will ask you some questions to assess the situation and will send an ambulance if necessary. It's vital to only use this number in real emergencies, as misuse can lead to penalties. Now, it's important to note that while you can directly call the emergency number for urgent situations, for non-urgent matters, you're still expected to seek a referral from your GP, even if it's out of hours. In such cases, you can call the after-hours clinics to get a referral. Also, remember that all costs related to emergency care are covered under the basic Dutch health insurance. This includes ambulance costs, emergency treatment, and after-hours clinic fees, so you won't have to worry about the financial aspect of your care during these challenging times. Navigating the healthcare system can be a little daunting, especially when you're not feeling well. But rest assured, in the Netherlands, help is always just a phone call away, no matter the time of day or night. So even if your GP isn't available, you're not left without care. But how do you see a specialist? You need to see a specialist. What's the procedure in the Dutch healthcare system? Let's dive right into it. The first thing you need to know is that in the Dutch healthcare system, general practitioners, or GPs, act as gatekeepers. This means that typically you can't go directly to a specialist without a referral from your GP. Imagine you're feeling unwell and you suspect it's not something your GP can handle. You make an appointment, explain your symptoms, and your GP decides that you indeed need specialized care. At this point, they write you a referral letter to see a specialist. This could be anyone from a cardiologist for your heart issues to a dermatologist for that persistent rash. Now, you're probably wondering, why can't I just go directly to a specialist? Well, the GP's role as a gatekeeper is important for a few reasons. First, it helps avoid unnecessary appointments with specialists, saving time and resources. Second, it ensures that your healthcare journey is coordinated. Your GP keeps track of your health and can guide you through the system. And lastly, it helps to control healthcare costs. Seeing a specialist can be expensive, and this system helps to ensure that such consultations are really necessary before they occur. Once you have your referral, you can then make an appointment with the specialist. Now, it's important to know that waiting times can vary. It might take a few weeks or even months to see a specialist, depending on the urgency of your condition and the specialist's schedule. Also, keep in mind that your health insurance should cover visits to specialists, but this is subject to your policy's terms and conditions. So, it's always a good idea to check with your insurance provider about what's covered and any costs you might have to pay out of pocket. So, seeing a specialist involves a few steps, but it ensures you get the right care. Now let's summarize what we've learned. We've covered a lot today, so let's quickly recap the key points about the Dutch healthcare system. The Dutch doctors take a minimalist approach to prescribing medicine. The insurance system mandates basic coverage, which can be supplemented with additional coverage for extra care. Own risk refers to the amount you pay before insurance kicks in. If you're sick, you first call your GP. In case of non-working hours, there's out-of-hours healthcare. For specialists, a referral from your GP is required. Thanks for joining us on this journey through the Dutch healthcare system. We hope you found it enlightening.